Have you ever poured your heart and soul into building a relationship, only to feel drained and confused in the end? No matter how hard you try, everything seems to spiral downward. Perhaps you've unknowingly been caught in the toxic vortex of a narcissist without realizing it. Like being lost in a psychological maze full of dead ends and traps, you find yourself endlessly searching for a way out, but to no avail. Life, as Epictetus once said, is like a game. In this game, we don't get to choose the cards, but we can choose how we play them. And sometimes we must face other players who employ unfair tactics, those who seek to manipulate and control, the narcissists. They are like wolves in sheep's clothing, initially charming and full of promise, but gradually revealing their selfish and toxic nature. They leave us exhausted, confused, and lost in the maze of their psychological games. We invest all our energy into building the relationship, only to receive pain and loss in return. But don't despair, for Stoicism offers us the strength and wisdom to confront these challenges. Marcus Aurelius taught, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Cultivate clarity and resilience, for the journey to break free from the toxic spiral of a narcissist is no easy feat, but believe that you have the capacity to overcome, to reclaim control of your life, and to find inner peace." The insights shared here will serve as beacons, illuminating the arduous path ahead. They will help you understand the psychology of a narcissist, recognize their traps, and, most importantly, discover the hidden strength within yourself. The first thing you need to remember is, do not expect anything from them, and do not hope that they will change. Epictetus once said, "You will never be disappointed if you do not set false expectations." Face the reality that narcissists do not come to build but to exploit. They wear a perfect mask, crafting sweet illusions that blind you into believing in an ideal love. When the mask falls off, their true nature is revealed, but instead of confronting the truth, you deceive yourself with excuses. Stoicism teaches us that all suffering stems from the inability to accept reality. Don't trap yourself in the whirlpool of self-delusion where you nurture fragile hopes that they will change, that everything will get better. Clinging to unrealistic dreams only prolongs chaos and wastes your precious time. As Marcus Aurelius emphasized, focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. The love-bombing tactic they use is a perfect ploy to win your trust. They appear as a beautiful mirage, a dream you've always longed for. But the harsh truth is, from the very first moment they meet you, the narcissist does not see you for who you are, but only for what they can extract from you. Like seasoned hunters, they meticulously study their prey, secretly mapping out the contours of your soul, your hidden dreams, deep motivations, strengths, weaknesses, and especially your kindness, loyalty, and capacity to give unconditionally. At first you are swept away by the feeling of being chosen, of being cherished. They skillfully transform themselves into your ideal image, mirroring your values, echoing your thoughts, and weaving an illusion of a perfect connection, a soulmate so uncanny it feels like destiny. They pull you into an emotional whirlwind, making you believe you've found your fate. But it is all a performance, carefully calculated to keep you under their control. The speed and sweetness they offer are not love. They are sophisticated and manipulation. So how do you move on? Start by facing the truth, without judgment, without expectations. Ask yourself, are you truly living in the present, or are you imprisoned by illusions of your own making? Do not run away. Do not daydream. Instead, act. Learn to let go of unrealistic expectations, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to recognize that your life cannot be dictated by someone else. The peace you seek does not lie in changing them, but in changing how you perceive everything. When you no longer expect the impossible, you will no longer be hurt by disappointments. As Seneca said, "Wisdom lies in preparing for the worst, so when it happens, you will not be surprised, and if it does not happen, you will feel grateful." Only when you are honest with yourself and take off the rose-colored glasses can you find the strength to move forward. This is not surrender, it is freedom. Freedom from illusions and manipulation, so you can finally discover the path to peace of mind. The second strategy I recommend is stop feeding the distorted ego of the narcissist. This may sound vague, but Marcus Aurelius once said, "The one who rules over you is not the wrongdoer, but yourself." If you allow them to intrude upon your mind, narcissists are like energy vampires, constantly seeking admiration to sustain their massive but hollow egos. They are willing to drain your energy, spirit, and vitality, turning you into a tool to fulfill their need for control and adoration. They live as if the world revolves around them, treating others as puppets to manipulate, while evading all responsibility themselves. But Stoicism teaches us not to let them dominate our emotions or actions. When you try to change others, you only exhaust yourself, Epictetus reminds us. Therefore, instead of arguing or trying to persuade them, focus on controlling your own responses. Understand that their lies and self-satisfaction are merely a facade, masking deep insecurities. This is not something you need to conquer or expose, and that almost never happens. Remember Seneca's words, "Anger is a voluntary punishment you inflict upon yourself." Don't waste energy arguing or explaining. When they distort the truth, respond simply with "no" or "all right." Silence is not surrender, it is wisdom. When communicating with a narcissist, fewer words yield greater results. Stay calm, as every reaction of yours fuels their manipulation. To protect yourself, examine the situation deliberately and think proactively. Look at it. Avoid trying to win by engaging in meaningless debates. As Marcus Aurelius said, the truth needs no defense. It only requires time. Don't attempt to explain or hope a narcissist will understand how much they've hurt you. Doing so is like banging your head against a wall, only to feel pain and despair in return. Narcissists lack genuine empathy or the ability to truly grasp the emotions of others, as they are governed by their enormous yet hollow egos. Your efforts are merely a waste of your valuable time and energy. Communicate with them only when absolutely necessary, such as in familial or work relationships. Don't let yourself be drawn into long dialogues or work relationships. Keep your statements brief, clear, and direct, such as, "I need you to pick up the kids at 5, or "Please stop, you're disturbing me." But even when you make reasonable requests, don't expect them to comply easily. Narcissists often evade or distort issues to maintain the sense of power they derive from manipulating you. Instead of expending energy on changing them, focus on yourself. Don't let their words or actions dictate your emotions. Remember, while you cannot control what they do, you can fully control your own reactions. If they act disrespectfully, set firm boundaries. For example, you can say, "I'm leaving this conversation until you can speak to me respectfully." Then walk away immediately. No waiting for apologies or explanations. This is the most effective way to protect yourself, avoiding emotional harm or even the risk of violence. Maintain calmness and firmness in every situation. Avoid adding fuel to the fire with provocations or sarcasm. A narcissist will always try to turn your words into weapons against you. Instead, use gentle but assertive statements such as, "You're entitled to your opinion," "I understand how you feel," or "I respect that perspective." These phrases help de-escalate tension while preventing you from being drawn into their emotional turmoil. Most importantly, you don't need to have the last word or win any argument with them. If they persist in manipulation, decisively walk away without explanation or apology. Never forget that you hold full control over your life and the power to choose what is best for you. If leaving immediately isn't an option, find ways to change the situation. Sometimes silence or a disinterested glance is more powerful than any words. This not only diffuses their anger or provocation, but also helps you maintain inner peace. Always remember that you deserve to be treated with respect, and have the right to create a happy life unbound by anyone's control or manipulation. In the psychological game with a narcissist, boundaries are the fortress that protects your soul. As Seneca said, "Be careful with what you allow, for your greatest enemy is not others, but your own complacency." Ironically, many people unwittingly hand over weapons to the narcissist from the start, or let their fortress crumble in silence without realizing it. This is why it's so easy to fall into their web of manipulation. A common mistake in setting boundaries is believing you can simply ask them to stop, "Don't treat me like that," or "You've crossed the line." But, as Epictetus taught, you cannot control the actions of others, only your own reactions. Narcissists do not value such requests, as every time you react, you reinforce your position in the power game they've constructed. To them, your reaction is proof that they still hold control. Instead of arguing or requesting, true boundaries are not empty declarations, but living authentically by your values and principles. Boundaries are not walls built from words, but an untouchable territory within you, formed by self-respect, unwavering beliefs, and unshakable resolve. As Marcus Aurelius emphasized, live as a bright light that cannot be extinguished, regardless of the storms passing through. When you live true to yourself, what you accept and reject becomes self-evident. To a narcissist, words are merely challenges. They do not understand the true meaning of respect, and will see your words as opportunities to test and break boundaries. They don't hate you, they simply lack the capacity to resist their childish urge to test how far they can push you. This is why speaking your boundaries often fails with them. Instead, let your actions speak for themselves. A person who lives by their values needs no explanation or debate. As Stoic philosophy teaches, you must be consistent, resolute, and let your inner calmness become your strength. When you act from a place of serenity and refuse to be drawn into their games, they will realize that you are an unyielding target. The narcissist will have no choice but to seek a more pliable victim. Remember, you cannot change their nature, but you can protect yourself. Let go of any expectation that they will understand or change. As long as you live with steadiness of spirit, your boundaries will become an impenetrable shield. And as Marcus Aurelius advised, stand firm like a lighthouse in the storm, allowing the waves to test your steadfastness. When dealing with narcissists, a powerful strategy is to bring the truth to light. These individuals often thrive in darkness, where they can easily manipulate, distort reality, and exploit your emotions to maintain control. But when you choose to confront them directly by exposing the truth, you not only dismantle their tactics, but also force them to face the consequences of their actions. Imagine a narcissist as an actor on a stage, always needing an audience to sustain their performance. When you pull back the curtain, that stage collapses. Their greatest fear is being exposed to others, as the only thing that keeps them feeling secure. Exposing the truth not only strips them of their weapon of control, but also helps you reclaim your confidence and control in the relationship or situation. Take a workplace example. A narcissistic boss frequently belittles you in front of colleagues and distorts the truth about your performance to maintain their position of power. In private conversations, they can easily manipulate you by sowing doubt and confusion. Instead of arguing, you choose to bring the truth to light in a team meeting. By presenting data, clear evidence like emails or client feedback, you force them to face reality in front of everyone. In this scenario, they cannot easily distort the truth or continue their manipulation. Although they may react with anger or attempt to turn the situation around, you've successfully taken back control and reduced the likelihood of them employing this tactic again in the future. In a marital relationship, a narcissistic spouse may frequently blame or manipulate you to maintain their sense of power. Instead of getting caught in an endless cycle of arguments, bringing the issue into the open with a neutral mediator, such as a counselor or lawyer, is an effective way to make them confront the truth. When they can no longer control the narrative, their ability to manipulate will gradually weaken. Bringing the truth to light is not just a tactic for dealing with narcissists, It's an act of liberation from the darkness of their control. Imagine the empowering feeling of no longer being trapped in the chaos they create. Instead, you become the one in charge, bringing everything back to its true nature. One practitioner I trained in the United States says this: "This is not merely an act of self-defense, but also a role model for others to learn from. When you dare to stand up, you send a message that truth and self-respect are inviolable. The feeling of regaining control not only brings inner strength, but also marks an important step on the journey toward building a more peaceful and happy life. Remember that you do not need to remain trapped in toxic manipulative tactics. Truth is light, and that light will set you free. Each time you choose to face reality instead of fear, you move closer to the freedom and peace you deserve." Have you ever wondered why you remain stuck in toxic relationships, even when both your heart and mind recognize they are destroying you? The answer lies in an invisible yet powerful connection: trauma bonding. This is not a bond between two souls sharing pain, but a distorted attachment that makes you dependent on the person who causes your suffering. Trauma bonding is like an emotional trap full of allure. The abuser enters your life with sweetness and charm, making you believe they are your perfect half. But when their mask falls, you realize their true nature: manipulative and toxic, and keep them distracted from finding the source of their disgusting actions. They create an emotional roller coaster, a cycle of alternating affection and cruelty that keep you in a state of constant anxiety and uncertainty. Today they might mistreat you, making you feel undeserving of love. Tomorrow they apologize, promise to change, and give you a faint glimmer of hope that things will be different. You find yourself walking on eggshells, constantly trying to please them but never succeeding. They vent their frustrations on you, using you as an outlet for their negativity, and gradually isolate you from family and friends, those who could provide comfort and perspective. You start to downplay or excuse their abusive behavior, even justifying it to yourself. Emotionally, you feel paralyzed, lonely, even in the arms of someone you think you love. They've skillfully turned you into a satellite orbiting their world, where all attention and value are focused on them, leaving you with nothing but a fear of being alone and empty when they are not around. When they sense you might leave, they will do everything to pull you back. Some use threats and blame to make you feel guilty or fearful. Words like "no one else will ever love you but me," or "you'd be nothing without me," are like daggers to your mind, making you doubt yourself and fear leaving. They've manipulated you for so long that they know your weaknesses and use that fear to bind you tightly. Others revert to their initial sweet, idealized persona, showering you with gifts, love, and the illusion that they've changed. The cycle, you get drawn back into the cycle, reminiscing about the good times and wondering if you're being too harsh. But the truth is, this is just another tactic to keep you under their control. Recognizing a toxic relationship is a critical step in breaking free from trauma bonding. But awareness alone is not enough. You need the strength to confront the fear, face the emptiness and loneliness of leaving a relationship you've grown accustomed to, even though it's destroying you. This is not an easy path, as the wounds from such a relationship leave lasting scars. Even after the relationship ends, you may feel empty, as if you've lost part of yourself. But remember, freedom does not come from clinging to the familiar, but from confronting the pain to build a better future. Liberation is not just about leaving the abuser, it's an internal healing journey. It's about reaffirming your self-worth, re-establishing boundaries, and learning to love yourself without relying on anyone else. Overcoming trauma bonding is a brave act, a triumph of will over fear and pain. It's heartbreaking how often I hear questions like, "Is my partner a narcissist?" and see people try to analyze whether their partner has the traits of this personality disorder. In truth, labeling the other person is less important than recognizing whether this relationship is truly healthy and brings happiness to you. Instead of focusing on whether they are narcissistic, listen to your heart and ask yourself, do they care about your feelings and needs? Can you share your thoughts freely without fear of judgment or criticism? Does this relationship bring you peace, or is it filled with tension and chaos? Are you respected, safe to express yourself and able to say no? Or do you always feel the need to suppress yourself, live in fear, and feel confused by their unpredictable changes? Do they take responsibility for their actions, or do they constantly blame you and avoid difficult conversations? I encourage you to ask these questions, and you will find the answers within yourself. I understand your confusion. You wonder whether their initial affection for you was genuine, or if you did something wrong to make them change. You struggle to understand why they are so loving one moment and so distant the next. This inconsistency leaves you lost in your own relationship. You don't know which is their true self or what their real feelings are. But trust me, you are not alone. Many people have experienced this when in love with someone who exhibits narcissistic traits. They often use the tactic of love bombing to quickly win over their partners, but then abruptly change their behavior once they've achieved their goal. And my final piece of advice to you is this: leave as soon as you can. Don't look back. Don't regret. Don't give them another chance. When you leave, the loss not only makes them feel lonely, but forces them to confront the flaws they've always denied. They may feel so paralyzed by sadness that they sink into endless thoughts about how they lost you. Anxiety and insecurity creep into every moment, leaving them in a depressive state, unable to find solace from those around them. Each time they think about your absence, the pain feels like a dagger piercing their already fragile sense of self. The anguish becomes even more unbearable if they realize their new sources of supply do not measure up to you. What hurts them the most is not just your absence, but the realization that they no longer have control over the situation. Narcissists live with the illusion of absolute power, believing they can manipulate everything to their liking. But when you leave, this reality is overturned, forcing them to face the consequences of their selfish, empathetic, lacking, and toxic behavior. They begin to wrestle with the biggest question in their mind: why did everything fall apart like this? While part of them tries to blame you or the circumstances, another part must confront the harsh truth. They were the ones who destroyed the relationship. Your absence becomes an unfillable void in their lives. Without you there to praise, care for, or meet their needs, their world feels like it's collapsing. This not only shatters their self-esteem, but also triggers their deepest fear, that they are not good enough and are undeserving of love. They may try to fill this emptiness with temporary distractions, like seeking attention from others or rushing into new relationships, but these efforts usually provide only fleeting comfort, plunging them back into chaos. They are forced to confront a reality they never wanted to admit, that their ego can no longer rely on you for validation. This inner struggle doesn't just harm the narcissist, it creates a cycle of self-destruction. The unresolved sadness, depression, and anxiety deepen their suffering. Instead of changing or learning to face themselves, they often respond by blaming others, manipulating situations, or trying to regain control through negative means. No matter what they do, the truth remains unchanged. Their life cannot return to what it was without you. This realization not only weakens their self-esteem, but leaves a deep wound in their psyche, a wound they don't know how to heal. But remember, the chaos the narcissist is experiencing is not because they loved you or truly cared for you. It is because your departure hurt their ego and forced them to face a reality they cannot accept. They are not perfect and invincible. Those overwhelming emotions are theirs, not yours. You are not responsible for healing them. Focus on protecting yourself and continuing to build the life you deserve. Hurting a narcissist is not difficult, but the question you need to ask yourself is, should you retaliate by inflicting the same pain, physically or emotionally, that they caused you? While it might bring immediate satisfaction, I do not encourage such actions. Revenge doesn't make you better, and as Marcus Aurelius once said, the best revenge is to stop behaving like them. Narcissists often hide their internal weaknesses behind a facade of arrogance and false self-importance. They fear shame more than anything else because it threatens to shatter the perfect image they've worked so hard to construct. Actions like divorce, breakup, or exposing their behavior in front of others can severely wound their self-esteem. But what hurts them the most is seeing you thrive, happier, and better off without them. Your success and fulfilled life are a clear statement that they were wrong to underestimate your value. That said, your goal should not be to hurt them, but to free yourself from the pain of the past. The journey to overcoming a toxic relationship isn't about revenge, but about finding freedom, peace, and a path toward a better future. When you leave completely, you not only cut off their ability to manipulate you, but also create a void that throws them into a state of confusion. Without the ability to control or monitor you, they become obsessed with the thought that you are thriving, succeeding, and happier without them. Even if they have entered a new relationship, this obsession can still haunt them. The idea that you have found true happiness, something they may have never truly achieved, could be one of their greatest fears. Your departure is not just an act of severance, it is a clear statement. You don't need them to find fulfillment in life. Leaving their life is like erecting an invisible wall, separating them from you while also serving as a mirror reflecting their helplessness, weakness, and deep-seated fears. This is not about revenge, but about protecting yourself. Every day you live better, freer, and happier is the strongest testament to your strength and worth. Remember, leaving is not surrender. It is a courageous act to reclaim control over your own life. It is not just a step toward healing, but also a reminder that you deserve a happy and peaceful life, one that no one can control or destroy. Healing and recovering from the emotional wounds caused by a narcissist is not a sprint. It's a challenging marathon. There will be moments when you feel unsteady, exhausted, and tempted to give up, but please don't lose heart. Persevere in cultivating inner strength and tending to your emotional wounds with love and understanding. Never forget that you are not alone on this journey. Actively seek support from loved ones, friends, or mental health professionals. They will be your solid anchor, a tremendous source of encouragement to help you through the tough times. Moreover, continue learning about narcissistic personality disorder and exploring effective healing methods to gradually untangle the knots within yourself. And now, as the veil of truth has been lifted and you've uncovered the hidden corners of a narcissist's soul, it is time to close this chapter of discovery. I hope that the insights shared here have ignited a flame of awareness, illuminating the path to escape the tangled psychological maze that a narcissist creates. Remember, the journey of healing and recovery is not a sprint, but a challenging marathon. There will be moments when you feel unsteady, on the brink of collapse, but please do not give up. Keep nurturing your inner strength and tend to the wounds in your soul with love and care. You are not alone on this path. Actively seek support from your loved ones, friends, or mental health professionals. They will be your solid anchor, a powerful source of encouragement to help you navigate through the tough times. Above all, always trust in your ability to heal and believe that you are worthy of a life of freedom, peace, and happiness. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey. Share your story, spread the message of love and healing to the community so that together we can build a world where understanding and compassion guide the soul.